Welcome back to TV 47 News tonight. Thank you for staying with us. Let's get to our quick interview. Our guest tonight, just a reminder, is the former Rongo Member of Parliament, Dalmas Otieno, who is with us in studio. Mheshimiwa, good evening. Thank you for your time tonight on TV 47.
Good evening, Abu.
All right, let's talk of politics and start from what happened today, which is the UDA party endorsing the Deputy President William Ruto as its presidential flag bearer. Let me get your thoughts first.
Well, first, Abu, let me convey my evening greetings to the people of Migori who may be watching this session. As to the meeting that UDA had today, I would say it was an impressive gathering. I've had so many of those for 30 years. Mm-hmm. It was not different from the many others we have always conducted nominating our presidential candidates. So I think it was well organized. It was an impressive meeting. And for the UDA supporters, they did very well.
What of the content of that endorsement ceremony, which in a nutshell was a delegates conference? Did it go well with you?
As far as the UDA supporters are concerned, it was a good delegates conference. Unless you mean by content all the speeches that were made in that conference. There is a tendency among Kenyan politicians as of now, and this is something I disagree with, that they spend a lot of time talking against each other instead of talking about what they propose to do for Kenyans. I wish that were able to change. Like in most political practices, people spend more time against their opponents. So and so is this, so and so is this, so and so is that. And they presume that is what Kenyans want to hear. I feel Kenyans want to hear more of what a particular leader is going to do for them, the ideas he has to change their lives. But you find a major conference like what was going on, key speakers talk instead against opponents. And in talking against opponents, some of it is not accurate. I feel that is not right in our political practice.
Fair enough. And with the endorsement of the Deputy President as the presidential flag bearer, Dalmas, is it now an issue of two-horse race, as some say, between the Deputy President and Azimio la Umoja leader, Raila Odinga?
I think we have known all that all along. This is just formalizing the fact that has been with us for some time.
All right, and with that too, and observably looking at the politics of the country, Mheshimiwa, is it a contest of coalitions, which in a nutshell informs also this discussion tonight? Is it that the 2022 race is one of coalitions?
It has been so all this time. Towards the elections, we end up with coalitions, and two primary coalitions, one against the other. When we were doing the Constitution in 2010, I was in the chair then, and I even proposed that we should have a provision in the Constitution that only allows for 3 parties in the country, so that we don't have so many tribally oriented parties who finally realize they cannot win on that basis, and then we start forming coalitions, which then comes into 2 groups, A and B, which if we only had 3 political parties, as I was proposing then in 2010, you would have 2 extremes and the middle would then be able to join either side, and there becomes the winner. I remember very well, it is Anyona who objected to this proposal I made, that would be undemocratic, that we should allow so many parties, at the end of which we know none of those parties would grow to anything. And they have never grown to anything since 2000, when we started multi-party political
And one will even
from
be tempted,
1992.
and one will even be tempted to ask, is there really a difference between all these political parties, apart from the names and the colors so visibly?
You have to go back to what I said earlier, that those parties are about personalities. They are not about the people of Kenya. They are not about policies that Kenyans need to be discussed. They are about personalities leading ethnic blocs. And at the end of it, we know 50 or so ethnic blocs in Kenya is not the party we need. We need a party that would take all Kenyans together. So that time I was proposing that if we only allowed in the constitution 3 political parties, then all Kenyan communities would belong to each of those political parties. Then it would force the leadership of these parties to think in terms of policies and programs that would enhance the lives of Kenyans, that would enhance the values that would benefit Kenyans. And every ethnic group would belong to each of those political parties.
All right. At the UDA Delegates Conference, President Uhuru Kenyatta, as we earlier reported in the news, became partly the subject of discussion. Of course, the split in Uhuruto has been very public. Would it have gotten to this place, Dalmas, in your view? Can it get worse?
It's the same thing I've been talking about. It is the personalities. It is not about Kenyan interests. You see, you think you are practicing politics, but by destroying the image of the opponent. And sometimes you want to destroy that image with lies and not with facts. You know it, but the political practice in the country has allowed it to be so. It doesn't only happen at national level. Even at constituency level, the practice is the same. Destroy your opponent's image.
For this specific case, this is a president still in power, a deputy still in power, constitutionally the primary assistant to the president, but seemingly reading from very different script.
Again, our practice, political practice, is based on personalities. You support personalities, sometimes without even indicating what is good in them for the benefit of Kenyans. You destroy the image of the personalities, not really that those images or those behaviors would matter to Kenyans. You just do it because that is the political practice we have allowed to be part of Kenyan political practice. It also is part of the political practice actually in the rest of Africa. We picked certain patterns that we will focus on the individuals. But then in a multi-ethnic community, where does this come from? When we are electing, say, Abu, and he comes from Garissa or anywhere else, it's as if we are electing the people of Garissa to lead Kenya, which again is wrong.
It's the individual, you suppose.
The individual and the policy package that individual feels committed to for the benefit of Kenyans. But it is as if you are electing Wambua, it's as if the government will be a Kamba government. If you are electing a Wanyama, it is as if the government would be a Luya government. No, it will never be a Luya government. It should be Wanyama's government or Wambua's government for the benefit of Kenyans in a party where so many other Kenyans are members, in a party where there are clear political practices, political policies that will have to be adhered to. So the way we are doing politics in Kenya as of now, it means parties will emerge and die after every election.
And talking of parties, you are a Jubilee party member,
Yes.
a party that has rebranded 3 weeks ago. The president still remaining its head, a party that is in power, with some still questioning whether it's as vibrant as it was or whether it is alive. As a member of that party, you're confident it is alive, is it?
It is alive. and it has policies which I approve of. It has programs I believe in. It has a leadership which I know mean well for the Republic of Kenya.
And when you say I'm going for the governor's seat on Jubilee ticket and our presidential candidate is Raila Odinga, we are all in Azimio, end of quote. Presumably, you're going for the gubernatorial post in Migori County, a county perceived, and we could be wrong in this assumption, as an ODM stronghold region county. You're taking Jubilee to Migori.
Yes. The mistake remains that political parties are identified with the personalities that are members in that political party. And then it is assumed that certain areas will belong to that political party, not because of the policies, but because of the leadership of that party. Now, there begins the mistake from day one. Why don't you ask me why ODM membership is not strong enough in the Mount Kenya region? Why ODM membership is not strong enough in the eastern region or northeastern region? We should stop thinking of ODM as a Luo affair and think of ODM as a national party. That is the direction it should go.
A national party that among its strongholds is Migori.
Yes. Now, then what gets wrong with that? Why do you then continue with the perception that if it is a national party with a strong membership from Migori, then nobody else should stand in with the ticket of any other party? What's wrong with standing with the ticket of any other party?
I suppose nothing, and it was but a question I was asking. Nonetheless, you are vying for the top seat in that Migori County.
Yes.
What do you want as Dalmas Otieno to achieve as the governor of Migori County?
Migori is a multi-ethnic county. The large ethnic bloc is Luo. Then you have a Kuria bloc with 2 constituencies. Then within the other 6 constituencies, we do have Maragolis in that group. Then we have the Suba also in some of the constituencies. Then we have the immigrant communities of Somalis, of Kikuyus, of Kisis, and other business communities. So we pride ourselves as a multi-ethnic bloc constituency. In fact, we are one constituency in Nyanza where we don't belong to one ethnic group. We may have majority Luos, but we also have a large number of the Kuria, a large number of the Maragolis, a large number of the Suba, and a large number of the other communities. So that being what we are, we become like a reflection of Kenya at present. So now you can ask your question after you see that background.
Which still is, what do you want to achieve for the people of Migori who are watching TV 47 tonight, wondering who I should vote for, why should they vote for you?
The focus, and that explains why I picked the Jubilee ticket, is the development of the county. To develop Migori as a county, a number of things have to be done, and I have in mind a number of development projects that will help that county be different and be beneficial to the inhabitants of that county. First of all, agricultural development. In Migori, we have to start from scratch, enhance agricultural production through agro-processing industries, which we believe we can manage. For instance, sugar is one of those industries which we are processing. I want it more efficient. I want it more productive. I want it more reliable and more useful to the landowners whose land we use to grow cane. We want to be able to start maize processing industries. As of now, imagine the maize is taken from Migori. The maize is then sent to Eldoret. Then it is ground and shifted and converted into jogo. You may be familiar with the jogo product. Then that jogo maize meal is brought back to Nyanza to be consumed by our people. What has stopped at having that very factory that is located in Eldoret from being established in our place to use our maize? The next is like viazi, our own potatoes. For now, the potatoes are taken from our area, brought to Nairobi industrial area, made into crisps, which are then packed and brought back to be consumed by our people in Nyanza. We are looking to the opportunity of that very factory that is located in Nairobi being located in our area, and our own produce is processed and leaves us for final consumption elsewhere out of our place.
Industries in a nutshell.
Agro-industries in our nuts in that manner. Let me explain further. Once we are able to establish these agro-industries, we will be able to identify our people with the land and the productive capacity to use our land to produce the raw materials to be taken to that factory at best prices before the final product is sold to the rest of the country and even exported to other countries in Africa, in Europe, or anywhere else. Now, on that basis, the challenge we have is resource allocation for purposes of establishing these productive units that would process products that we are able to make from our place.
Fair enough, and because of the interest of time, perhaps one last question, Mheshimiwa. You are in Jubilee, which is in Azimio la Umoja movement, a movement that is bringing together political parties, whose presidential candidate as endorsed is Raila Odinga, who will be making his 5th stab at the presidency. How close or far, in your view, is he this time from clinching that seat?
I listened very keenly when he made his statement after we approved him as our presidential candidate. One key thing that I can mention here is that he committed himself to 35% of the national revenues being given to the counties. 35% is relatively high, but if he achieves that, and Raila is a person whom if he says, I will do, he actually does. If 35% goes to the counties, and we ensure that the counties are efficient in the use of the resources given to them, that would be a major, major, major change in our political practice in terms of managing development projects in this country.
So according to you, he is close to power this time?
He is close to our interests as leaders of our different counties.
All right.
I can tell you that for sure.
A former Rongo Member of Parliament, Dalmas Otieno, thank you for your time tonight on TV 47.
Except I've only talked of agro-industries in Migori. I have a lot more.
And I'm sure
maybe for another day.
Absolutely, we will have more subsequent interviews in TV 47. This is the first of many, I suppose, interviews to discuss Migori County and much more. Time for us to take a short break. Remember, we have business and sports news after this break. Stay with us.